Right, so in theory I should be live again, which is good. Hello and welcome. Probably people are gonna take some time to get in. Let me do all my gloriness that I need to do to get everything up and running, like popping out the chat, moving it to my chat monitor, and do stuff like that. So let's see. Also need to make sure that everything works here and that YouTube receives all data, that all the video is working, that the audio is working. I did change a bit of my audio setup since last stream, so yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. Oh, I'm already seeing people are coming in, that's really nice. Welcome to the stream. So, what are we gonna do today? First of all, give me a bit of a buffer here so that I can test all my audio setup. I don't know if this all works. Oh no, I didn't want to click that. Let's see. Since last stream, so yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. Oh, I'm already seeing people are coming in. That's really nice. Welcome to the stream. It's maybe a bit too quiet, the music. Let me bring it a bit up. And then just eyeball it. Should be good. If you have issues with the audio, just tell me. Alright, so here we are again. I didn't change my setup today here. I didn't had really that much time to go and buy some proper lights, but should be good. We do one thing that I've done before to basically boost up my monitor on full static white to at least give a bit of more illumination here from the back. Alright. So, welcome back to my live streams. Today we're going to continue on developing on the ProEdgeEngine and start going into actual code and start writing code. Before we gonna do this, I want to quickly open up our board that I have created. Let me get up a new browser window. Let's quickly open up the web page here so that we can go in and do a bit of management before we are planning that. So here we are on my Trello board that I have created for that project. Development status board so that we can basically see what's going on. And I'm gonna do another quick audio verification that all my stream health is good before we are starting and doing real things and bad things happen. We are planning that, so here we are on my Trello board today. This is good. It's all good now, I think, with the audio and all the video. It's coming all to YouTube, and I think I'll double check this and it should be good. Alright, so now we are in our Trello board and we want to plan a bit today what we want to do today. I haven't done that much since the last stream. Actually, I have done nothing actually. So we have everything available here. So last video I kind of like showed you all the basics, all the code base and everything that I have set it up before I started these streams, and we talked about everything except my window class. My window class is actually not even in place. I mean, I'm kind of using it down here. I'm creating a window factory and I'm creating a window from that factory, so it kind of is there. However, the implementation of it is quite simple. It's in the Windows folder. And we can go to the code in a second. However, what it's only doing currently is it's creating a window. It cannot do more. It's just creating the window, nothing more, nothing special. It's really not something big happening there. And that's not good. We want to make this better and we want to integrate this with the whole engine system. So that's one thing that we want to do. So let me add a card here. Basically what we want to do is we want to integrate windowing with engine. So the layer stack basically. That's what we want to do. So are these cards like, okay, I can add a description, labels, members, labels. Okay. I'm not a Trello expert. I've worked with Jira previously. However, like for something public, it's always better to have Trello than Jira. And I can just move these around, right? Yeah. Do we have like a finished list? We don't have one. Done. So I can later on push this over. Can I actually archive this list? I know. I cannot really collapse them together. I don't know. Can I, like, edit... If I edit the label, does it get say new and it just gets these header bars up over here? Okay. So I could actually, like, track this even with the colors of the labels, basically. Something like yellow, that it is, like, needs to do, blue in progress, and green done. Can I label these labels? I say, like, done, to do, work in progress, and issue. Issue and plan. So we have plan stuff, issues, and a few status labels. So this kind of like work in progress and it's planned. And then I can like name them differently. I can name them like engine, editor, runtime. Can I do this like that? I can like also delete or archive if it's done. Like archive it when it's done. Stuff like that. So you can have like an editor, the engine, the editor, the runtime, and examples. Then I can like have all my tracks in here and see what we are doing. I think this is a good idea. I think I'm gonna do it like that. Alright, so what I want to do definitely today is I want to integrate all the windowing systems with the layer stack. And then I might want to do some DXGI swap chain. Actually like DXGI common and DXGI window, which is basically containing a swap chain. This would be a good plan. I don't know if we are gonna be able to do everything, especially when explaining it, but we should be able. Now I can like edit these labels, make this as a to-do and the planned work. Like say this here as well, it's to-do and planned, and that's like the windowing because I already started coding there. So this is kind of like what we are already working on. Can I actually order these labels? No, I cannot. Can I order them here? Is it possible to move them around? No. Can I... I know. I mean, it's okay. I don't care if the labels are like that. Maybe zoom one out here so that's a bit more readable for me. A bit more overview on that. Okay. So what we want to start today is integrate windowing with the engine. So before we can integrate them, you first need to understand how the windowing works. So let's start by taking a look at what we had. Let's quickly close all these tabs so that we start from scratch. So windowing, how does windowing work? So in general, if you are doing Windows, so Windows on the Microsoft Windows operating system, you are going to need to have a window class. Basically what you need is a window class, and the window class defines how a window is laid out, how all the messaging works, or message procs, and everything which is evolving around the window. So all properties. Actually, if I would take a look at the code, the window class defines the style of the window proc, so the message proc that is processing window messages, a bit of memory allocation for that window, icon for that window, a cursor, a background, color, menu for the window, class name of the window, which is just to identify that window class, and another icon, a small icon. And I personally, you can always change like these icons and cursors and all that stuff. This is all changeable at runtime. You can actually, everything that you are defining like in the window class, you can later on override it. And that's why I personally like to just keep one window class in my project and make them kind of like static. Like you can see, this is not really depending on something. You cannot really customize anything here. The window class is just set in stone. So yeah, that's really the thing. Alright, so what we basically want to do now is we want to go in and take a look at the code here and see what's going on. So the window factory is just responsible for holding and asserting the states of the window class itself. So it's basically defined by an H instance because you need it for the window class, and you could dynamically get it itself, but I'm just going to cache it in the class. I'm going to span that pointer there. Then we're going to have a boolean that indicates if the class is registered. If it's not registered, well, we need to register it. And we also have a W string for the window class name itself. So that's basically what the window class can do. Functionality of the window class is very, very simple. We have a constructor with a default constructor with one parameter that is defaultable. So we can see we can give it a class name. By default, it takes ptk windows window.class. So just a little string to identify the window class, takes a default one. But if you want to customize or have multiple factories, which we might want to have in the future, or we might add some properties to the Windows itself. I don't think that we're going to do it yet, but we might do it in the future, especially if we're having windows that are not used for drawing, like exception windows, launcher window for example, an editor or something like that. Or as you might know, for example, the Tomb Raider games, if you start them, where are they? If I would try to start Tomb Raider, it's probably going to do some installations because they got an update. Is it doing it? If I try to start Tomb Raider, I'm getting that window here, basically. This is a probably non-DirectX window that gives you a few options before you can start the game. Is my zoom screen actually working? No, my zoom screen is just moving my camera around. This is nice. But I can make it work for you. Yeah. So basically what the Tomb Raider games do is they are having these launcher window here, basically. This launcher window gives you several options. You, for example, can also go onto the YouTube channel, web page, customer services, or you can actually click on options. And if you're clicking on options, you're getting another window. And this other window here is basically allowing you to change some options before the actual game starts. So before all the DirectX swap chains and stuff are created, you can actually go in and customize things, which I personally think is a really good thing to do. It's very reasonable. I think Unity has something as well. Because if you are screwing something up, for example, having some HDR or something on, I don't think that HDR is here, because the game doesn't support HDR, I would need it to click on the other Tomb Raider there. But basically the idea is you have some basic settings here that you can change before the game starts. So if you're messing something up and the game crashes, whatever, can go in here and change the settings before that. This is something that I want to have as well in the future. I'm not going to start with that because it's too... it is really too advanced to start with that. And you can, yeah, then really... Yeah, I said to you, we're going to keep it simple here. So we're going to not do some advanced stuff like that here. So what we're going to do is just a basic thing, but I want to have the functionality in here so that we are having the opportunity to change this later on if we want. All right, so back to the window class itself. So we have constructors and destructors. We cannot copy construct because we don't implement any ref counting for the window class itself. We do support moving because moving is some important thing. This is going to come in the C++ tutorial in the future as well. Moving is like the most important operator that you need to implement, in my opinion. But that's like all opinion based, but I think it's important. So basically I'm trying to implement move in every class that I write on this engine's project. If it is a simple class that can be copied around, we're just going to implement copy, but we're probably going to either have copy or move or both, but depending on how we're doing there in the future. Same here with the operators. So basically all that this is sitting here on the top is just a basic construct for managing the class. Basically just creating it, destructing it, and assigning it with move or non-move, which is not possible in this case. The main functionality of this class is in these three functions. Actually these two as well, but the main functionality that you are going to interact with the window factory itself are here, class register and class unregister. These two functions are used to register and unregister the window class so that you can create windows from that. Windows are created with the window create function. The window create function is basically just giving you all the options that Microsoft would give you as well. The only thing it does is giving it a few more options and default values so that you can create windows a bit more easier. Like it's defining an own X style by default and the default Windows style. So minimal, you just need positions and sizes. And then so-called event sync. But to the event sync, I'm going to tell you whichever it is. Basically, the event sync is the class that is going to reference to an instance of a class that is going to handle the Windows events. So you can basically see it's called iWindow Native Event Listener. iWindow Native Event Listener listens to native events from a window. Native events are handled through message procs. By default, message procs need to be static, which is an issue if you're doing object-oriented programming, like we do here. This is why you need some glue, and the glue is also handled here by the window factory. So the window factory has two message procs defined, the message proc setup and the message procs forward. Message procs forward is responsible for forwarding any messages from a window to an iWindows native event listener, while a message proc setup is required at the start or creation of a window to set up all the dependencies so that message proc forward can work. Let's take a look at the implementations of these functions. First of all, the constructor. It's very simple. We just assign the H instance to the module handle, save the class name, and then call class register. Class register is defining a Windows class XW descriptor. So we basically fill out this Windows descriptor about our class. We need an OwnDC since we want to draw on that window with the XGI. The message procs itself is going to be the message proc setup function of that class for setting up everything. And the rest is set to default values like H instances assigned, cursors and icons are not defined, X's are not defined. We load the standard arrow cursor. I think this is not even required. You can do with this without it. It's not an issue. And we also set the menu to null and the brush on the background to null. It's menu, we don't need one. It's a game window. And the background is null pointer since we are using DirectX later on to draw on top of that. After that, we are specifying the class name by getting the C string from our stored W string, and again icon to null pointer. After that, we are registering the class, and what we also want to do is, of course, set my class registered to true, which I completely forgot there. But that's not an issue. Now we have it in here. Alright, so class unregister is working similar. It's basically just setting class registered defaults and unregisters the class with the Windows call. It's quite simple. The class unregister function is called when you are calling the destructor. Then class unregister is called. Now let's take a look at the move constructor. Move constructor basically just moves the class name, sets the H instance, sets class registered to the state of the other class register state, and clears the register state of the other class so that the other class is not like stealing our class reference there. Then down here we have the window create function. The window create function is very simple. We are just calling create window X, storing the title of the window in a ownW string. This is required since we cannot access a string view directly. Or can we? I don't think so. I haven't tried this out actually, or I have tried it out, but it is quite a long time. Can we use the title here directly? Don't think so. Does the title have some functions? We can just have like, it has like add. It has like C begin and C end. However, it's not really possible to, can I, with data, I could in theory access it. But I have no idea if this is gonna save us. I'm gonna see if this fails. This should in theory work, but I'm not quite sure if it always works. But since strings shall always be null terminated, I hope it works. However, as far as I know, a string view does not need to be null terminated, but I'm not quite sure of that. Now, the window is created also with the window style, the positions and everything that we need is basically provided here. And what a Windows window can do, it can take user data or, come on, how is it called? LP param. LP param is a special parameter used on creation of the window. That LP param that you can pass on window creation is valid for exactly one time a message proc is called on the WM_NC create event. And we basically give it the event sync, which is an event listener, and we later on use it to basically forward messages to that event listener. How does that work? Well, by default, we are calling this message proc setup function, and the message proc setup function is by default just returning the default window proc. However, as soon as we are getting this magic nc create event, so the message is wm nc create, we can actually extract a so-called create struct from the L param of that message. It's a pointer. The L param is always a pointer, so we cast it to a pointer of a create struct W in our case, and we assign it to creation info. It's also a create struct here. It's all just done here with the auto keyword because it makes more sense here. Now, if we have this creation info, we have multiple data in it. We actually have this LP create params inside of the creation info, and this LP create params is basically the parameter that we have passed in here. And I use this parameter to store it in a special memory location for the window. So every window has a few bytes allocated for data. There are pointers and there are normal data, but by default we are just going to use the pointer ones. As you can see, the pointers can be accessed or basically accessed by get or set window long pointer, and the window long pointer has several offsets in itself. For example, the user data. User data is just a 64-bit pointer that can be used for everything that you like. So user data, pointer, you can do whatever you want with that. And in our case, we are basically just pushing the pointer or setting this pointer to the create params, which is actually the pointer to our event listener. So basically what we have archived with that line of code is we basically called the, we basically set it our event listener as the custom user data to the window. Now we also need to change the message proc because now basically the create param is inside the user data, so user data is now valid, and as soon as user data is valid, we want to after that always invoke the forward message proc. So what I am doing here is I'm basically changing the window proc by setting the gwlp window proc parameter of the window. It's also a pointer, and in this case it's a function pointer to the forward message proc of my code. So what does the forward message proc do? The forward message proc basically casts the user data to an iWindow native event listener and then calls the window message function on the event listener, which is basically just a object-orientated virtual Windows message proc. So same format than a normal message proc, just that it is virtual and inside an interface, and we basically use this interface here to call it. And then we can basically put every single class that we want. We just need to implement the interface, and then we can basically pass it to the window create function, and we get assured that this class and especially this instance is going to be called when a message proc receives a window event. Everything before nc create, we cannot really handle that, but after nc create, everything goes to forward here as well. All right. We also have the move assign operator, which I personally don't actually like to have down here. Let me actually move this up here because it kind of like fits right in there after the construct and destructors. So instead of that move assign, we are basically going to make sure that the current class is unregistered. So if we are currently holding a reference to a window class in the current object, we want to unregister it. It's important. We unregister it and we are good. Now after that we basically copy everything over or move everything over, and we're gonna make sure of course that we invalidate the other instance by setting this to false. Right? We made it sure. I did not totally do this just now. Alright then. After that just the default return def reference self or this. And this is basically how the window factory works. A very simple piece of code, a bit of glue that allows you to create windows. Now the window itself is the class that is like consuming that window class. The window itself has no default constructor, which is something that I might want to overthink actually. Yeah. I definitely want to overthink that. I do want to have a default constructor so that I can create empty window objects. That's important. Alright, so we have a default constructor on our window itself. We have no assign. We have a move constructor, which is doing this a bit more smarter than I have done this initially. It's basically it's basically assigning dereference this to std move other, which is basically calling the move assign here. If you are doing it like that, you can do this like for any class. It's calling move assign basically. I mean, move assign is a bit more computational intense, but I don't care. Alright, so how is the window created? The window is basically created with the same parameters that we previously used, so x, y with a height and the title. However, we additionally need the window factory so that we know which window class we're going to use. And we need a window type. The window type is an enum, which basically defines how the window shall look. Now, we're going to have a few window types. We're going to have an invalid window type, of course, to indicate that the window is invalid. We have a default and a borderless window. These are the only two windows that we're going to support. If I'm going to do dedicated full screen in the future, I'm going to probably do a borderless window that full screens itself. So this is then going to be an option on the XGI. To basically tell the XGI that we're going to go full screen. However, dedicated full screen is no longer recommended, at least on normal setups. I don't know how it works out with HDR, if we can do borderless and HDR. Not quite sure of that. We could try this actually out. Can we do borderless and HDR? Let's see. Let's see if we can do it. Come on. Shadow of Tomb Raider is HDR, native HDR, not the Windows Auto HDR. So I could try out and see if borderless and HDR works, because by just taking a look at my settings there. Alright, so can I uncheck exclusive full screen and have HDR on? Does it keep these settings or is it automatically checking this? It is trying to do this. Let's try this out if this works. Can we do... Is this an exclusive full screen? No, it is not, since I can like go out of the window with the mouse. I'm not trapped. Let's see if we get HDR. My monitor should tell me if we are... Okay, we are in HDR by default, but... Let's see. Am I on HDR? Yeah, I am on HDR. So, I am on HDR, but I am on a borderless window, so that's not a concern. Right. So it works actually. Good to know. So we wouldn't even need to implement a dedicated exclusive full screen. Not required actually, since HDR works without it. So it's no longer necessary, but people are gonna yell for that. I know that if you are not having exclusive full screen, people say, hey, why don't you have exclusive full screen? We don't have exclusive full screen because Microsoft says, don't use it. Microsoft says, exclusive full screen mode is no longer required, since if you have a borderless window that covers the whole screen, the same optimizations are done that would be done if you would have a exclusive full screen mode. It's just working nice with Windows. Exclusive full screen is kind of like deprecated actually. However, I'm gonna see what we do in the future. What can we do with a window? Well, the window is a bit trash currently. Because it doesn't support all operations and it's not tested. I haven't tested that. It's basically a fragile construct currently, but I do implement a few features or try to implement it. I tried to implement setting position size and the type so that you can actually change it from the default window with borders and the borderless window. I can get the type, get the positions, get the widths, everything that I need. Assignment operators. Here, deleted default assignment, allowing move, inline explicit operator for getting the HV&D handle. I just want to make this explicit so that nobody has the actual idea of directly converting this to Windows and using the default Microsoft functions with my window, because these might screw up internal states of my window. This is just why I want to have this explicit. It's nice that I expose these, and sometimes I yell at people because they write libraries and they are not working as intended, or you want to get a property that you can see that is actually in that library. You can see if you take a look at the classes, there are properties in there. However, it's completely sealed and wrangled down 5 classes deep and you cannot access it. And you could access it when you're inside the class. So I personally like to have my class a bit relaxed, which I should do by the window as well. In the window I should actually be able to get the string. Inline stdw string view, get class name, or actually get window class name, and this will basically just be a return window class name. Done. Simple as that. To make this also a bit more reasonable. Yeah, I know I should keep my coding conventions correct and make this a bit more readable. Alright, so back to the window itself. These are the functionalities that it supports. It internally has a little helper get window styles that is basically getting the styles for a specific type. Now the window itself, the code is quite simple. I am first detecting the window styles and extracting them. After that I am gonna adjust my window rect. Adjusting the whole full window rect dependent on all the styles and no menu. And after I have created these, I basically store my current stats of the window and I create it using the factory window create function, and I'm doing a little assert here. The move assign operator is basically just calling the destructor to invalidate the class itself, and then it's going to copy everything and it invalidate the other. After that, we're just returning dereferenced this to be sure that we work here. Destructor, very simple. If the window handle is existing, we are destroying it. We are not invalidating it since either the class or the object is away, or we are assigning it afterwards anyways. Now setting window position. It works similar to creating the window with the window rect. Basically, where is it? Here. There we go. Position X, position Y, and the width, and then basically adjust, and it's done. Updating is done by using the Microsoft's function here, set window position. Same works here with the size, it's just doing it a bit different here with the window rect. So get window styles is a simple function that basically just populates these two references to some defined values so that everything works. Set window type is basically checking if the types differ, and then basically adjusts the styles and sets the window longs. The window longs basically define how the window looks. These are not pointers, these are just long values. And actually this visible, I do want to always have this visible in my window. Oh, come on. I can actually always push that in. So that looks good. We need to check something. Okay, so basically I always want to make sure to add in the visible flag as well so that the window is always open. Alright, so what we are doing here as well is on setting the window type is applying these both and making sure that we update the size itself, because if we are adjusting the window styles, the sizes become inconsistent. So we need to make sure that we call the set window size again so that we are now adjusting it. If we have a borderless window and we are converting it to a bordered window, we can have the borders inside of the window and we need to adjust it so that we are back at sizes. However, the gaming window is gonna do a bit more advanced stuff around this. We're gonna see how this works. I have no idea if this works. It's the first time that I write my window like this. Normally I always had like this big fat gaming window class that handles everything, but I kind of like want to separate this in two things. I want to have a default window with just some default behavior, and then I want to have like this gaming window that can like do the full stuff, like automatically confining to screen sizes and stuff like that, so that we have it a bit separated. So it's a bit nicer. Okay. The window message currently is just responding to VM size and VM move messages to retrieve the new width, height, and positions so that we can basically see what's going on here. I do wanted to do this with decorators. Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. I do plan to implement decorators on that window so they can actually decorate the functionality on top of that, so that you have a window and you're basically adding some modifiers to that window so that the window gets a bit more advanced. So basically you're gonna add stuff like advanced features. I'm gonna tell this to you in the future because or we're gonna implement this actually, but I just want to make sure that this is like simple for the beginning. Right, so one function that I want to add to the window factory is handling window events. Void handle, or how are we going to do this? Void handle window events. Handle pending window events. This makes more sense because we don't handle all, we just handle pending events. So we're gonna have a message element here. We don't need to initialize it, and we're gonna say while peak message W into message, we're gonna do all windows, no filter, min, no max, PM remove. We want to remove messages if they are getting peaked. And when we peak them, we want to translate message and dispatch message. Translate it and dispatch it. This is a default Windows message loop. Just want to have this in here so that we can do it. Now let's go to my minimal app and let's just flex this in. ProEdgeEngine app core iLayer. No. Basic layer. T window layer. Public PDK app core basic layer. Public private. So what are we gonna do here? We're gonna add no, we don't gonna do it in here. We need to do it here actually. Yeah, I don't need to do this in namespaces. Basic layers, alright. And T is win down layer. No, that's not right. Basic layers already included. However, we need this Windows stuff here now. Right. So we do need a PDK engine, Windows, window factory, window itself, and then we want to of course use it. Alright, so just gonna call default constructors here if we are constructing that. And now let's implement a bit of few events. So what events do we have? We have an on attach. I think we just need to implement on attach, right? On update, where's my on update function? There is it, on update. Now it of course moved that code down there, right. The onAttach function should then actually... Yeah, we can write a code there as well. The thing is, onAttach is coming from where? It is coming from probably the interface. But the interface is defining it properly, so the basic layer is not defining it right. So that it is not automatically fulfilled. Right, this should make it work. Why do we have set parent here? I don't want to set parent here. Care about set parent. It didn't select that. Alright, so onAttach, I'm gonna create the window. So window window equals to std move pdk engine windows window. So we're gonna create this by supplying the factory, a title, demo window, window type default for now. Let's start it at, yeah, maybe I don't like 0, but at least like 100, 100, 500, 500. Window, it's window factory, like that. Alright, and this shall create ourselves a window. And on update, I would basically call window factory. How did I said handle pending window events. Okay, so handle pending window events. So this now should give us a window loop. Now this is now no longer gonna terminate the world. So if we want to terminate this, we need to check if a window is open. So how can we check if a window is open? We're going to add the default functionality in here. The window itself is going to get a virtual function here. Or how are we going to do this? No, since I don't want to really inherit from the window. I want to do this with decorators. So this is then going to be handled through some events. However, we're gonna have a default handler there. Alright, we're just gonna do this like that. Alright, so we're gonna need to kind of like store if the window was requested to close. So let's do the handle here, and here we're gonna have the parameters, and then we're gonna have down there the runtime value. So m window close received, which is by default false. And what we want to do is basically add a default handler. And basically what we then do here is we would handle decorators, and then we kind of like have here a default. So again, if msg now equals to wm close, I'm basically just gonna set this to false now. This is then gonna be probably done differently, and maybe it's probably also done with a switch. So let's do another switch here. Window close received true, break. And then we just need to basically write a getter for that. So inline bool should close, const no accept. Oh damn, I haven't programmed much in the last days. Need to get my keystrokes right again. So window close received is then returned with the should close function. And what we then can do, instead of our minimal app, we can use that to notify that we are gonna close our application. So basically, if window should close, we're gonna do that. And we cannot do this like that. We need to say get layer stack. And we, notify event was okay. Then we can use this because now we have a source layer. And we can then basically indicate that we want to close. Now the pre-update, we don't need that one. We also don't need the setup layers now anymore. Just need to instantiate this now. So private. How called I that? Window layer. Window layer. Window layer. And what we want to do then here is on setup events, you want to say layer stack dot add layer. Gonna give it a name here. Do I need a path or is the layer itself? I think the layer itself needs to name itself as far as I know. I don't know how I implemented these actually. PDK, app core, basic layer. Yeah, we need to have a name here. Priority, we don't need a priority. We can use the default ones there. However, we need to name it. I'm gonna name this, well, just call it window. Yeah, just window. And then I should not need that path. I can just add it like that. And this should, in theory, create ourselves a window. Let's see. Shall this work? From the beginning on, it kinda works. So we actually got a window. That's already good. However, we have an exception. The event listener. What? Okay, so the event listener is not implementing that function. Yeah, why are we not implementing that function? The window should implement this. Interesting. Let's step into that. Okay, no, I don't step through with that. My code is already too complicated to directly start there. We're gonna step into my into that one. All right. The window is a... Alright, so the function pointer is looking good. However, why is it not working if I add the wind layer? Let's step into that. So F11, adding the layer here. This shall call this event append function, which should create a new object, which makes this new object here, which at some point calls malloc. So we have the new object. Is that correct? Yeah, that worked. So now we have kind of like filling these in. So now we are calling the set parent function. That is just setting this layer as a parent. Now on a touch. Now we should be here. This shall now create a window. Interesting. What's going on there? What are we moving in there? Alright, here we are. Okay. Okay, we are initializing that. That's okay. I think with F10 or F12. How can I jump over that? F10, okay. So, window has been adjusted. Now window has been created. And let's take a look on how we are seeing this. Window close, received false. Oh, it's all looking good. Oh, I think I know what's happening there. Yeah, I know what's happening there. We are moving the window. If we move the window, we need to do additional stuff. If we need to move the window, we need to move the pointer as well. The move operator, as you can see, basically we are invalidating the other, but we need to set the new pointer of the window itself. So we need to update window user data to this, because we are overtaking the other handle, so we also need to make sure that the other handle's user data is set as well. So set window long pointer W for our window handle, and GVLP user data converted to long pointer this. No, not this. What is no? I'm mistaken something. What is the issue? We are having the window. The window is not changing. Oh, I mean the event handler itself is the window. So it kind of like stores the pointer to itself in there. Yeah, but makes sense. If we're moving the window. Yeah, okay, of course. I'm just an idiot. We need to do this. I hope this solves the issue. Let's see. I can't keep this breakpoint for a second. If I delete it, I'm gonna need it again. However, I do not need it again. That's why I didn't delete it. Okay, so this was the issue. Should be maximizable, should respond to events, call demo window. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's not working, but it is working. This is exactly what I need, because we don't have a brush there that's drawing this window. If we close it, the application should terminate. It does not. Okay, this was null pointer. Okay, so this was null pointer. Get layer stack. The layer stack was null pointer. Which is okay. It is null pointer because we have made an issue. We need to make sure that we call our PDK-engine app core. PDK app core. Basic layer on attach. Need to call the super here as well. Because the super makes sure that the stack is set. That we need then later on. So if I now close it, it should no longer have an issue. Right, now if I close it, it's just finishing. If we really want to dispatch this later on the update function, probably not. However, just for now, for demonstration purpose, it's good. So now we have a window. We're gonna try a few things out. First of all, let me maximize it again. Ooh, this looks a bit ugly, maximized. However, yeah, it's not redrawing it, so it's probably good. Can I set the window brush just for debugging purposes? Win API, HWND, set brush. When is Microsoft gonna get that I'm not gonna read documentation in German? I actually don't want to set this. I want to set like the classes brush, but not here. Get window. This does not really work as far as I know. Alright, so it seems like we can't do it that way. So we can now quickly do it here. Create solid brush. RGB. Just make it black. This just should make it draw itself automatically if I resize it, yeah. If I don't maximize it, it kind of works. And now we are going to put a breakpoint here. Now we're going to verify this. First of all, where is my Task Manager Deluxe? There it is. I hope that I'm not gonna get washed away when admin kicks in, because Task Manager Deluxe has a window explorer where I can take a look at my window and I can take a look if my client area sizes matches the size that we have stored. So I'm gonna quickly make a breakpoint on the onUpdate function. Boom. And now I can take a look at the window itself. The size should be... So position is 2 and 25, which is actually okay, which is actually right and wrong at the same time. It's right because it's for the client area. However, it's wrong because I would rather have it as the actual real position, but we maybe solve this. But why is a X position 02? Because of the border of the window probably. So let's use Task Manager Deluxe, and we had the... This is Desktop Explorer? Yeah, Desktop Explorer is how it's called. Let's see if this always stays. Of course I cannot open this now because I'm on a breakpoint. So let's first go in here. And now let's use Desktop Explorer. Can I capture that? Can I click on that? No. Oh, I need to remember these numbers, and I don't like remembering stuff, so I'm gonna cheat on that. Click. PDK, Windows, window classes are working. Handle, yeah. DPI awareness per monitor. Is that by default doing it? Interesting. Now let's break in again. So, dimension, -8, -8. Yeah, but that's not the client area dimensions. What is my width? My width is 3836. 3836, that's correct. 285 is also correct. However, the position is a bit something that I don't like. The position, let's see. Let's just test out if the borderless window works as expected. Let's make this borderless. This should give me a borderless window that looks really ugly. There it is, yeah. That works exactly as desired. And this should be now completely equal to what a Task Manager Deluxe would say us. And if that works, I'm actually fine with it, because nobody... If you're going maximized with Windows, things are gonna be good. So we have a size of 500, 500. Oh, we actually have 1 pixel at each side as a border. Okay. That's interesting. Maybe because it's not full screen. Personally, I would love to have no border. But I think you can't do this if it's not... if it's not full screen. Yeah, thank you. Also welcoming to the stream here, and yeah, thank you for your message, and I really enjoy doing the videos, and I'm glad that people like them too. Yeah, so thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly check if we can do a full screen window. What is the dimensions of my screen? So the big question. Width, height. Should be like that. Yeah, that looks exactly as I expected it. It's a full screen, borderless window. And that's your glory of each game. But of course it's going to be calculated a bit different, the sizes. But like the idea is that it starts out as such a window. And by just dividing this half, we can make it a bit more visible. And as soon as we are half, it kinda... Oh, okay, I see what's going on. Did it do that before? That little overscan on the different monitors? Let's see. You cannot see this because it's on... Yeah, it's actually doing it. Actually, the borderless window is 1 pixel on my right monitor and 1 pixel on my left monitor. But I think this is okay. And we should have a starting point, right? That's the whole idea of the video today, is to have a starting point. I don't really care about how well this is integrated yet and works, but I basically want to have a window. We're going to put this to default for a second, so that we have something that we can control. Alright? Now, one thing that I want to do again is now remove that window factory madness that I entered there for making this a bit more visible. And basically make this again a null pointer. Alright, so now basically we have a starting point for creating a window. Now, what I want to do here is I want to now properly integrate this with the layer stack. Now is a big question where to put this code. We could put this code directly into Windows, but then this would mean that we basically have platform dependent code, and even though I am limiting myself to Windows yet, having Windows in too many places is not like the idea that I like. So what I rather would do is, especially with something like that, stop by a bit of extracting this away. Are we gonna do this? It's a big question. We can define interfaces there, because basically what we want to have is that the window... No, we're not going to do this. We're not going to go into too big of hardware abstraction layers. I don't have the time to maintain all that code. The question is, are we going to put it in the Windows package? I would rather put this into a different package. I would rather put this in like the rendering infrastructure package. Or the... Actually, it's more like user interaction. Like window, keyboard inputs, fitting to the screen. That's like all stuff that you do with the user. Also like raw input and stuff like that, which should also fit in this package. So this would be rather be like a user input package. So we're gonna do a user input package. Let's open up code. Now this is an engine package. User input. It's not really input, it's more like user IA or IA user, which looks ugly. I need something that looks good. Interaction, user interaction. Interaction, user X, no X user, nah. Basic user. Or how would I want to call this? That's a big question. I'm looking for a good name. I'm really bad at giving names to things. How do I want to group this together? I want to have like window factory in there and all the constructs of Windows so that we can have them. They're not going to be instantiated there. They're going to be ready for use so that we can use them. These are going to be the building blocks in that package that can be built together for building like the user interface and also like the user. It's really like the user interaction. I'm just gonna call it user IA. User IA. Yeah. Let's copy an build script here and call it user AI interaction. User IA. Okay. This should give us this package now. Yep, there we have it. Let's add no item into user interaction. Or let's actually, no, let's not add an item. We're gonna add a folder. Layers, because these are the layers for our layer stack. And then I'm gonna create a file here. Window factory layer. I'm gonna start with a namespace, PDK, engine UEA, user interaction, class, window factory layer. Right, so the window factory layer of course needs something from the window itself, so we're gonna do engine, windows, windowing, window factory, and this is something that I would like to kind of like abstract, have a layer between these, having a layer between the window factory layer and the actual Windows layer implementation itself, like an I window or something in between. But for now I'm gonna do this like that. And this is gonna be Windows only, and I hope that I at some point get away from Windows only, but I'm gonna try to make this as easy as possible just for now. So we're gonna have a Windows window factory, and I have a default constructor here. We're not going to name the window factory itself because this layer is just meant to be used once. Can we make it once? We could actually try to make this a singleton. However, I don't know. Can we make it a singleton? We would rather have a window factory as a singleton and not the layer itself. So we have always one window factory. But however, the factory itself can throw exceptions. So making this static is also not a good idea, so we would need a pointer. And so I'm basically just thinking that nobody shall create but 2 of these objects, please. Thank you. If you use them correctly, nothing is going to blow up. But that's something that might be a concern for the future. And we want to have move, but no assign. We really don't need a destructor here. And here's again move, but no assign. So this shall give us default functionality. Get factory. Or actually, no. This is gonna manage our windows. So I want to have a destructor there. Come on, visual assist. Thank you. So we want to have a vector of actually we want to have a vector of window layers. Or are we gonna have them as raw windows? No, because we need a pointer when we add them to the stack. So we need a new class here. Window layer.h. Which you can like nearly completely steal. They should not have deleted everything, and actually if I do this like that, I can actually go in and rename this. No, I cannot, because it is doing it not only here. To uncheck these. To really just rename them. So I have a window here. Just a simple code here to get a starting point. Don't think that I need a destructor here. And basically what I want to have here is I want to have the window layer. So I'm going to include my PDK user IA layers window layer. And basically what we're going to have is we're going to have window which is gonna bring us to a problem, I think, because it does need copy. Does it need copy? I think it needs... wasn't move enough, I don't know. I think a vector was sufficient to have move, right? Looks good. We're gonna see if we might use a function of the vector, I'm not quite sure. There was one of the system containers that was really like uncooperative when it comes to actually storing them. However, pointer would actually I would rather like to actually have them as pointers in there. I have my scheme of doing my own memory allocations, so I do wanna use them, of course. Allocator. Okay, the allocator is an interface. Yeah, so we're going to do a reference to an allocator. So we're going to have as a default argument, we of course need to populate this one. So a memory allocator, reference allocator. It's going to be default to memory, default allocator instance. Was like that. Not available. Is this a function? It's a static function, so it should work. Yeah. Just my bad. Okay. So now we have a memory allocator in here that we can use to create these objects for that one. So now on destructing, I'm gonna say for auto pointer allocator, auto counter layer in my. Did give it as a name? Oh yeah. Child layers. And basically what I want to do here is I want to remove them. So first of all, these are not layers yet. So I need to give them different names. So app core. They call it basic layer. BDK app core. Of course, I need to include this as well. Don't know why they Visual Assist is kind of like raiding the Microsoft shortkey that I used to use so often. So we also need to call the parent constructor, so an app core basic layer. So this is gonna be the Windows UEA. No, UEA Windows. I don't think that this works because I do not support an automatic addition of a layer container. This is something that I might implement. It automatically creates a container if there is none. That's something that I probably want to implement. So if UEA does not exist, I want to create it. Let's add this. No, this is completely wrong. I'm an idiot. This layer, of course, needs to be appended. The name is just Windows, and onto which path it goes is defined somewhere else. Alright, but destructor. Allocator free. Delete object. Layer. As simple as that. And then the vector cleans itself up, so delete all pending objects. Right. So what I'm then gonna support is a function. So what parameters did I need for the window? I'm gonna have a function that appends a window. So create window, of course, is new window, get window, and delete window. These are functions that we're gonna implement. So these are both gonna retrieve something. That's gonna be a void std w string view. Const w string view name. That's returning a Windows window. Reference. No pointer because this could be invalid. However, Windows window here as well. So these functions are good. This is actually const non-accept. Does it no accept? Probably, yeah. This is not constant, not non-accept. Window creations. Like, this is the thing. I would rather have this as a window interface that you can then use. But that's something we can always transition in later. I could type diff this. This would make it a bit easier, but no. Okay, so new window. What does a new window needs to basically get? Well, we need to take a look at the window itself. What parameters did I had there? I had the parameters for basically the type, position, and that. That was like the most important things that I needed to get here. So let's first go to the window layer maybe, and let's add the one to the constructors. This is of course no longer a default constructor, so we need to implement these. Do we want to have a default one as well? Probably. And we also need a window factory. Window factory. Factory. And... oh, could we... since this is now exactly the constructor of a window, we could also just... so we don't have that much code duplication. Add a movable window that's basically going to get moved here. So then I'm going to add the implementation here. CD move, WVND, like that. Then we can like move this window in here. Getter for that. Of course, this is a layer public app core basic layer. We of course need to set up this as well. So I'm gonna call the app core basically as constructor, and I need a name. Ha! That's a function that we need as well. Do I store that name? Never, of course. Okay, so the title was directly pushed. So we can implement this with WinAPI. We can do a no, not inline. This is going to be an stdw string get title const. Not accept. I don't know what Windows is going to do. So if window handle stdw string name, I'm gonna say get window text length to get the length actually, and then we're basically gonna resize that to that. So name dot reserve. I hope that reserve is also the right one. I think reserve is actually the right one. +1 here for the null terminator, just to be 100% sure. Then we're gonna say get window text w. No, not length, normal text. Window handle, the string is gonna be okay. So auto window name size. Oh, actually it's like title size, and this is the title here. With the title reserve, title size. Then we're gonna set this to, this is gonna be the pointer to where it shall be putting it. So this is gonna be the title data. And the maximum count is the title size here. Right, and this should give us the correct title of the window. If I did not do anything wrong. Is that a... Ah, that's W string. Okay. So I'm working with ASCII and Microsoft works with white strings. I don't want to rewrite my stack for white strings personally, because a stack shall never be white strings. So we're gonna decouple this from titles. Right, okay. Then we're gonna decouple it if you like to do it. So const stdw string, string view now. Name. So we need a name, and then we're basically just gonna pass on that name here. And we're gonna do the title-y stuff somewhere else. Okay. Right. So this should create us, return. Should work. We could also implement some operators. Window pointer, operator pointer, return pointer 2. This is also a non-accept. And this is inline. And let's see, this should now be constructing a correct window. Did I actually had something in a CPP file? No. And what I want to do here is basically allocate it. However, now I need the parameters from the window again. So I now basically need the title, type, position. This is everything that I need to create a window. Windows, window type. Just gonna call this here layer name. To make this clear. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a window. I'm gonna create this here inline here. So windows, window, WEND is the factory. The title, my factory. How did I call this? My factory. Ah, no. I know, maybe it comes to life if we are done. So, type, position, width. Type, position X, position Y, width, and height. Yeah, it comes to life if you're done. So creating the window here. Then I want to make sure that I create my layer. So I'm going to say the window, or actually maybe I should create a window layer first. No, because the window layer does need to retrieve this as parameter. So window layer pointer layer is going to be equal to allocator new allocator new object of type window layer. Do we need a pointer type? No. Why are you not working? Window layer should in theory be constructed without arguments. Right, that one shall work. Is default constructible? Or is das... It is default constructible, so it shall work. Interesting. Yeah, thank you for your comment. And yeah, I was actually doing that video when I experienced these issues myself first, because I had like did like 2 or 3 projects just for testing out Conan and did it like all wrong because of the resources that were very limited to that. So I thought of that, hey, let's make a tutorial so that people can actually see how it works. So yeah, I'm glad it helped you. Default constructible. I mean, I can give it the... I know what's going on here. It's of course not default constructible, because I know what's the issue is. No, window layer. Know what the issue is. We need this name here, of course, as well. If we do this name in here and add an app core in here. What was that? And move the name in here. Now we are default constructible. Now come on. Now you should be. Not default constructible, we of course need the arguments here, but get the point. We can now give it a name. So, layer name should be able to construct this now. No, because the layer name is a W string, which is wrong. This should be a normal string, normal string, normal string. Everything else shall be a W string. Okay, so this works now. And now I'm just going to std move the WEND in here, and if the layer was created, return the layer here somewhere down there. We're basically gonna say so that is like this expression that we want to have. We're gonna ask for that, and you're gonna inline this a bit with null pointers, which is not like super clean. It would be actually it would be cleaner to do this like that. Get window. Where did you leave my pointer? This is cleaner, I think. I mean, like, yeah, the vector itself, it's not like using my allocators. However, I'm not going to overcomplicate things. For my objects, I'm going to implement default allocators default on, so that I have them just in there and I don't need to change it that much more, so that I have all that allocator structure in here. And if I need custom containers that use my custom allocators, I can do it in the future, but not yet. And this shall give us a nice layer. All right, so how can we get a window? Getting a window is not really something that is necessary, actually. Oh yes, it is. Actually, this is garbage. That layer is not in the stack. Get layer stack. Can I get the parent of myself? Get parent. Can append my layer. In theory, this should work. To append this as well. However, does it implement all of our calls that we need to do? Probably yes, because the layer container is containing all that logic and the layer stack is just a dispatcher. Probably yes, yeah. This is how I implement that. However, this would need to be catched for exceptions. Like that. And get is then no longer like really responsible for doing something, because we just basically want to create and delete windows from there. And really the other things are handled by this class itself. So delete window is, if you're kind of like asking us, because we are managing the windows, we just basically need to delete and get them. However, retrieving them can be done through the layer stack. However, I'm just gonna leave get in here. It's actually quite simple to implement get here. We can get a parent, we can get a child. Oh, this is still a const char. However, I'm gonna do this like that. Actually, need to dynamic cast this to. Actually, let me then directly dynamic cast here to a window layer pointer. If we have that, we can get the window. Now this makes many assumptions that I do not want to make all. I'm making one assumption I'm gonna make the assumption that the layer parent exists, the parent shall exist, and get child I'm gonna check for errors, and dynamic cast I'm gonna check for errors. So the rest should be fine. So just a bit of help us around there to get the window. I do have a templated version of the dynamic cast stuff there, but it's not available from the container itself. It's just available from the root layer stack. Delete window is quite easy actually. Now for that I need a real iterator. Okay, like that. And if it how is it called? Was it like dereference it equals, so dereference iterator or iterator, this should call the functions get name if that is equal to the layer name. What is get name? What is get name returning? Probably again, yeah, const char. That's amazing. So std string from layer if they are equal. What are you? Can we directly do this with get layer? What? Window layer pointer. So dereferenced and pointer. Ah. And what I want to do if I find them, I want to basically first make sure that the layer is removed. So remove. So the layer gets removed. Oh, I have a new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I was like really shocked by that. Nah, I was just thinking and it got me hard. But yeah, thank you. So we're gonna remove that from the stack. And then we just need to remove it from the list itself. Now you should no longer ask me Yeah. It's a good suggestion that you suggest me to not use range base when I need the iterator. Alright, it no longer does. Let's get out of the for loop then. Or actually we can be even a bit more direct, even though it's going like to be the same code. However, making this with a like real return is gonna make things a bit easier. Alright, so delete window, get window, new window. Should in theory work. No, it does not. The allocator, of course, needs to delete the object to make sure that everything works there. Then this should be a window factory that can manage windows. Really don't want to expose the factory itself, because the factory shall not be exposed. We basically don't want to get access to that factory. We basically just want to create windows by calling the functions, and then we're going to have a compositum and decorators. Not compositum, just decorators, so that we can basically decorate the window with functionalities. For example, a DXGI decorator, a IMGUI decorator, a keyboard input, user input decorator, a gaming window decorator, and everything that can then add like functionality to that window. Additionally to the default functionality. That's the idea here. So let's try out these new layers that we have implemented and see if they work. So close all tabs about this. I forgot to click these again. However, what we want to do is basically remove all of the temp stuff that we have here. We're going to add new temp there, but remove all the existing temp. Like that. Setup layers, we need that one, but that. Just gonna put a null pointer in here for a second. And what I then want to basically do is I want to include these. So let's include my VDK, PDK, engine, user IA layers, window factory layer, and window layer. These are the two ones. Actually, the window layer, we don't really care about the window layer. We actually just care about the window factory, because we're then going to have pointers to windows. So Windows, PDK, engine, Windows, window pointer, window 1 and window 2. These are going to be pointers that we're going to get later on or create later on. Alright, so I want to create now actually go in here and implement a virtual method on app_init to correctly initialize our application before we go the update way. I think app_init is called after setup layers as far as I'm concerned with my own code base. Now let's also add the layer, PDK, engine, UEA, window factory layer here. What we basically want to do is in the app itself, we want to now add the factory layer at the path UEA, which is not existing, but that's what we're going to try to solve in a sec. So on app_init shall do some stuff. What shall app_init do? App_init shall initialize our window. So window 1 is going to be equal to factory layer, new window, window 1. Just call this here amazing window 1. Window type, come on, give me my IntelliSense. Ah. window type. Default for now. Position, let's say 100, 100, 500, 500 to basically move this at some position. Now we want to do 2 of the windows. And let's well, maybe this is X, so let's do like 600 and 700 here to just move them apart. So what I also want to do now is on post update, I want to check if I need to terminate. So let's implement another virtual method on post update. And on post update, I basically want to say if window 1 if window 1 dot should close and window 2 should close. Actually, it should not be should close, it should be either closed, but yeah. Now I want to inject the event and I forgot how to code it. App core. Layered app. Event. Layered app event. How was it called? Stack probe. Layered app event. There it is. Type is close application. Return code is 0, and then we're gonna say get layer stack notify event and no source. Do we need to have this? What? iEvent reference. There should be an iEvent. Yeah. What? No, it's actually a reference. Okay. So this then shall terminate the application actually. So this will not work because that one will fail. To quickly make it work, I'm just gonna do it like that. That shall at least prove the concept. In theory. Unresolved external symbols. Alright, I didn't have my move implemented. This one should be able to implement itself. They should all be able to implement themselves. Okay, so what are you looking for? You are looking for engine new window function. The new window function is not working. The destructor is not working, so this is not compiled. Okay. So what do we have here? It's a template error. Cannot convert argument 2 from PDK engine window to reference. So I thought I had a double reference in here. Yeah. What's this move? Name? Do we need a SCD move wrapper? Is there a move wrapper? Move SCD move. Oh, I mean, there's a reference wrapper. I mean, we could. This might be. We might need to actually reference them as const. Actually, like Yeah, it's like a const std string view reference, and it is like a window, a Windows window, like that. Does that work? Why are you trying to... Why are you trying to convert this not correctly? That's interesting. Gonna need to check this in a sec after I make the... Reinstalize music. So, why is it just one type? Why is it not checking these variadic stuff? Hmm. Do I need to implement some custom stuff for moving data? That's not good. I can get around this, however, but I do not know if I want to get around this. I mean, it has actually a... I think I'm gonna cheat for now. Basically, I'm moving that down here. Basically like that. What I then can do as well... What? Yeah, of course I need to wrap this then in a window layer. Then I need to wrap this one as well. And this should do the trick, but it does not. The move is not working at all? Wait. What is going on? Ah, yeah, now... Okay. This one makes sense. Of course, if I use that one, I need the layer name again. Why am I actually registering the layer name again? Window layer. Why are you requiring your name? Yeah, okay, because it's a basic layer. Okay, makes sense. Okay. So does this code work? Yeah, that code works. Now we have 2 unresponsive windows because we have forgotten to code something. However, the windows exists, and this is already a good thing. This layer, of course, needs to implement the onUpdate method. If I can find it, because I'm blind. There it is. Why do you always like to implement setParent as well? I do not wish to override setParent. I just wish to override an update, not setParent. Thank you. Because I need to call my factory. And this shall make these responsive. Yeah. Now they are responsive. Now we just need... Oh my goodness. I managed to destroy all my setup by moving them too fast and tricking Windows into thinking that I want to move everything. Just by checking if they are responsive. I always love drawing with these windows. Don't know why they are a bit laggy just now. Normally they are smooth. And closing works as well. So that looks good. Now the code isn't that complicated actually. Using it is really simple. Just these few lines to create windows and use them. Now, my idea is now that you can now composite functionality to that window. So we're just gonna write some useless window compositum that makes the window ugly. Now, this is gonna be a madness when we need to basically move this to a hardware abstracted code, but I think this is not going to be an issue yet. So, all right. Well, what do we do in the window? In the window, we need to add window behavior, and these ones I'm not going to use with custom allocators yet. So how can we do this with window behavior? I think no, we're gonna write user IAs. User IAs are gonna be behaviors of the window, but however I need to kind of like I need to kind of like pass Windows the event, so no, behavior needs to be on the operating system base. I cannot help that. So I'm gonna create a new folder, behavior. Did I write this correctly? Yeah, looks good. What is my watch telling me? Nothing important. Alright. So we're gonna have an I window behavior. I window behavior. And that's gonna be the interface. Namespace is PDK engine windows class I window behavior. And this one is just an interface, so it's just gonna get some very basic properties. First of all, a virtual destructor with a default implementation here, and then the interface itself. So what interfaces are we gonna add there? Basically, for now, just the window event. We might want to use. Do we want to have an update there as well? Can we kind of like fetch an update event for a window? We could custom implement them. We could implement update, and we're gonna implement an update function as well. So void on update float delta time non-accept. Well, I mean, yeah, in theory, we really don't want to have... We can have exceptions here, but we don't want to have them. Now we're going to have a boolean on window event. And this is going to be a normal Windows event, and it's going to return true. Basically, return true if end of event chain is reached. This is going to be the idea of that function. This is not going to be available because this is not loaded yet. PDK engine autoload Windows SDK result. Then we're gonna have a window itself. So let's the iWindow behavior is kind of like required by the Windows. So we're gonna have a class window here pre-declared. Window pointer window, where the window is coming from, a message, a wparam, lparam, like that. These are going to be virtual. On update is just going to be... Can I add a default implementation to a virtual method if it is void? That's a pity. That would be a nice feature for C++ to kind of like add an empty method if it is void. But I can do this, of course, with that as well. Return true if end of event chain is reached. So by default, we're going to return false. It's no longer kind of an interface, but I don't care. Because it has like optional methods there, and an interface is really like putting a constraint on there. So on Java it's like really hard what an interface is and what a class is. But I'm fine with that. So I'm gonna write a simple behavior that's gonna prevent a window from being closed. So a non-closable, non-closeable.h. So there we go. We're gonna include my PDK engine, Windows, windowing behavior, iWindow behavior, and we want to write a namespace here again. PDK engine, Windows, window behavior, class non-closable, public window behavior. Now what this class is basically do, it's just going to implement the virtual method, it's going to implement the on-window event method, and basically what we want to do here is make the window non-closable. How can we make the window non-closable? Well, basically what we're going to do is if message equals to w... Actually, not even that. We're going to return message equals to wm close. So as soon as we get a close message... It's not message, it's uint. I'm an idiot. Message is the object, and this is the actual code. So if the code is equal to wm close, we basically wanna return true. So as soon as it is closed, at the end of the event chain is reached, and then we don't gonna have default behavior. Now we just need to bring this in here. So one thing that I quickly want to do is... Yeah, no, I'm not going to do it like that. So, like these events, do we want to copy them really, or do we want to have pointers to them and manage them on our own? That's not a big question. I'm going to manage them now. So... we're gonna need that one here. Include it, and then basically what the window is gonna get, it's gonna get the SD vector, which is probably not included. Vector of the iWindow behavior. iWindow behaviors. And this is gonna be the decorators. And behavior decorators. And with these decorators, we want to basically decorate behavior of our window. Now, how I'm going to do this? First of all, I need to go to my window proc. Handle decorators. So what I'm going to do here is basically for auto pointer decorator in behavior decorators. Default handling. So what we basically want to do is we want to say L result, and if want to return L result. So if something works, we're going to return the L result. We're going to do this by calling the on-window event function, giving it the L result, the result pointer to the L result. The window pointer, the message, W param, and L param. And if we kind of like are at the end of the event chain, we're going to return the result. If we are not getting to this, we're going to go to default handling, and then if the default or in class default handling, and if this doesn't work, Windows default handling. So we can like fall through that code. Now we just need to bring them in. Now this is going to be templated and be very interesting. Do I have an allocator already here? No. And it's going to be now a pain to add in the allocator, but yeah. I'm not going to take the shortcut that I intended to do. No. Memory allocator and default allocator. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to add the... Is it initializing these all by default? Yeah. So I can do a memory allocator. Yeah, I know. I need to set this one here as well. Now I need to just put it in as an argument. So memory allocator reference allocator equals to memory default allocator instance. What? Oh yeah, it's a pointer. And basically what we want to do is we want to add this one as well to the constructor back there. Implementation as well. Now, of course, it needs to go in here as well. Same goes here. Ah, now this is the assignment operator. Invalidate other. Yeah, I just need to move the vector there as well. So move from other window decorate behavior decorators equals std move other behavior decorators, so that they have a good state. Everything else is really not relevant. Now the destructor needs to clean up window handle, and it also needs to clean up behavior. So for outer pointer behavior in my what? Why did you suggest me such a thing? Be decorator. What? Behavior decorator. There we go. Allocator, delete, object, behavior. So that they are cleaned up correctly. Right. Now the only thing left to do is write a function where I can actually append the decorators. It's gonna be quite simple. But also advanced. Enable FT. We of course need type traits for that. I'd try to at least keep my dependencies as good as possible, because if I change one of these headers and I forgot to include the default ones, then other code might not work and can give you errors when refactoring code, so I try to at least keep them consistent. So we only want to enable this if std enable if std base of value. So the base is I window I what? How did I call this? Window behavior. Why don't you suggest me that? Window behavior. I don't know. So only if we are allowing window behavior. So we're gonna say void, or actually not void. We return the t pointer. Add behavior. Like that. And I actually have 3 functions. Gonna see in a second why 3 of them. But however, I first implement 1 of them. Yeah, I actually plan to do more Unreal Engine videos. The problem with Unreal Engine is that Unreal Engine is inconsistent, and Unreal Engine has many design flaws that I personally don't like, and I had really nice plans with all that time ability stuff, and I had a plan that was well laid out with linked lists and being able to define objects on blueprints, defining structure on blueprint, use it in blueprint and have it stored and accelerated nicely in C++. However, Unreal Engine doesn't like that way of doing stuff. It doesn't allow you to manage objects on your own that are also used in the editor. It does not even allow you like an add ref and release ref. So basically Unreal Engine gave a step in my way. And also different issues, especially with all that like code reloading. It's all not working quite well yet, so kind of like have this on a hold until they fixing it and stuff is more reliable and better. So currently not, but in the future maybe. So that's like that. So I want to create a behavior basically by creating a t-pointer behavior. And maybe we want to have a get behavior as well in the future so that we don't have 2 behaviors wedged on top of that. So let's maybe do it t-pointer get behavior as well. We want to call get behavior with t first, and if not behavior, we want to insert it. So you want to say behavior equals allocator, m allocator, new object of t. And then we want to basically say if behavior and behavior decorators pushback behavior, so that we don't end up with null pointers in there, and then we return it. Now this function is ugly long. Can we make this smaller so that I don't have that many code duplication? That's a good idea. How can we make this smaller? Get behaviors templated. If not, nah. We really can't make this smaller. Okay, no worries. It's just gonna spill up our source code. But we can collapse this since we are Visual Studio guys. Type name, argument, argument, and new object with the argument as well. We could check for constructible, but I'm not gonna do this. Then we're gonna do a variadic type name with args. Args, so that we can basically construct this in place with a function. And then, no, would it be possible to kind of like inline make this a bit more easier? I don't know. One thing that you could add like is std is constructible. And you wanna, how does this constructible work? Come on, give me information. Type name and arguments. So the type name would be like t, and then we would have like arg. Then you could also check if it is constructible. I'm just gonna add this in because I'm a fool. I did already screw up my code with one of these constructible things because I used it wrong. But yeah, let's try it out. Why not? So, get behavior is going to be quite simple. T-pointer behavior. It's going to be at a null pointer, and we're going to return the behavior here, and then we're going to have a for outer pointer be. No, we're going to do it differently because we can reduce the code a bit. Auto behavior in. No, why it is like suggesting such trash. So by default we're just gonna return null pointer. And here we're trying to cast this to T behavior, or basically what we want to do is we want to check if they're the same type. So outer pointer casted behavior equals dynamic cast to T-pointer for the behavior, and if casted behavior is valid, we're gonna return casted behavior. So that's how we want to do it. And this should be a nice little get behavior. Now basically by adding these functions we should now be able to add behavior on top of a window. So let's try this out in our minimal app. Of course we need the behavior now. Windows, windowing, non-closable. And let's now try to add this behavior to window 1. So window 1, add behavior. And I want to add the PDK, engine, windows, window behavior, non-closable. And of course it doesn't work. Probably it's the default constructible shit. Let's see. What the... Okay, it's not something else. Template parameter can be... What? Unnamed parameter? Cannot be deduced. I don't care about that output. Right, what do we have here? 16, so it was compiling window.cpp. Do we have an issue in my variadic stuff? No, it's just Visual Studio that highlights them different. But I use this exactly like that, actually. So this should actually be good. Unnamed parameter. It's trying to go to the variadic one. It's having an issue with the variadic one. The other ones are fine. Arcs. Two, three. Interesting. Did I unpack them exactly the same? Yeah. So is it trying to... Why is it trying to actually deduce that? Like on window, it should not actually go to that. Why is it trying to parse this on that call? It's not used there. So it seems like a syntax issue. It's probably something very simple and I'm just too blind to see it. Okay, let's try to boil it down where it might be the issue. Is it here? Is it in my... it's in my... no. Yeah, no matching overload. It's something that I am fine with. If it's not finding that... even through like... it's okay. But what is it? Why do you have problems with that? Enable FT. Bayes derivative. That's correct. Type and args. Is it failing at the arguments? It's failing at the I window behavior. But where? What would happen if I completely removed that function here? Let's make a default constructor explicit. Interesting. Why are you not finding an overload? For underscore underscore formal. Could not deduce template argument for underscore underscore formal. Oh yeah. That is an explanation why it doesn't work. If you're doing your varietics things wrong, as I told you, it's a simple thing. They am just not seeing. It's just like that. Not equal. I don't know what I am doing here. So I think a type name there should work, because like I've want to on taken a look at this at the... ah yes, I need to assign it. I'm a bit... I mean, okay, it's not getting a name because it's unnamed, but it's gonna get assigned so that it has a default value. Alright, so like that. Now we should be good. Now it should also compile with all of the functions in there. Yeah. Let's see if our behavior works. So this shall be closable, but this one shall not be. Yeah. Exactly what it should do. Not able to close it. Because we added the behavior to that window. And that's the idea that we can do. And later on, if I, at some point ever, make this abstracted away, it's gonna have like a root class non-closable, which then basically depends on the operating system that it's running on, which behavior it's kind of like adding, or it's dynamically adding a behavior based on which renderer is selected, and then you can basically add behavior on top of that. So we probably don't want to have a non-closable window. That's not something that we're going to have. Or we basically, we might have that. We can actually... what I could do basically is I could like now remove the checkings from that window 1 and just check for the window 2. And what would then basically happen if I do this like that? That I cannot close window 1, but if I close window 2, both of them are closed. That's really the idea of that code snippet. And basically you're going to have something similar. So basically this behavior, you would basically store this, and this behavior then would have a callback. So what I would basically have is a callback. Where is it? Let's go to my non-closable. Okay, let's use functional. I've actually never used functional, but or std function. I have no idea in which header this is. Callback. Where is std function? Peek, 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 peek. Can't find this. Can it hover that? Include, include, include. Add include functional. Yeah. Is it functional? Probably. It's not. Argument list. Okay. So what is the argument of an std function? It's probably void void. Or is it just void? Because I have void as a parameter. What is it? Is it a return value? Let's see. Never used that one before. Template, class, undefined. So return value and arguments. Okay, so return value is the first parameter and the following are the arguments. So what I could do, for example, is I could actually tell it, again, also a window pointer here. So what the hell? Why are you not allowing this? That's interesting. Because it doesn't really... Okay, actually, the callback should also return the boolean. Okay. Class dot args. So nice that this doesn't work. Are they using with some with multiple? Okay, so this is how you do it. So you really like try to display this as a function. Okay, works for me. So it's really not it's actually the whole type that is in here, not just the argument. So this is how my callback shall look like. So I'm gonna have this like that. So can I call this callback? So can I ask my callback operator bool? So if callback exists, oh, actually now I need to do this a bit more different. Action is false here. And if this is equal, action is gonna be set to true. And if we're even gonna go further, if my callback exists, it's gonna be equal to that callback window, because we're gonna call it, and else we're just gonna say true. If we don't have a callback, we're gonna assert that we are by default stopping here. And I could even go further and then directly return this here to make this code a bit more readable. I know that some people don't like it if they have multiple return values, but I like it. So by default we are doing nothing, and as soon as we are having that close message and the callback return false or true, we basically stop there. And this would basically allow us to do a custom close callback here. Of course we need to be able to pass this in as well, so it would be like a const cb callback. Does it work like that? Can I have a reference to that? Oh, right, of course it's not a default constructor, but it should work like that. And this is like ugly, so what I should use is using equals to, does it work like that? I have not used using actually. As? How does using work? Did I have it somewhere in my code already, or was it a different project? Let me quickly see. C++ using alias. Template alias. Using identify. Okay, so you need to actually... What? Using identifier attribute, optional attribute as type ID. So it would be really It should be like that. Okay. Qualified name is not allowed. Can you not alias this to something nice? Like callback T? That's really the idea that I would like to have here. Using vec. Ah, right, it's the other way around. Okay. Okay. That is how it works. Because then I can basically just do something like that and it looks a bit more readable. What is your issue now? And this now nearly qualifies to not inline this and move this to a source file, which I'm gonna do. Visual Assist really helps when you're doing refactoring like that. This one can be inlined. This is too simple. Like, this is a one-liner. And the thing is that I would now be able to match them together. So now, if I would start this here, the behavior should be the same. We're gonna add one thing in a second in here, but the behavior should be the same. I should not be able to close A, but I close that one. So the behavior doesn't change because we don't have the callback in here. However, when I get to my minimal app and quickly bring in that again, we should not be able to close window 1, but close 2, and it's not really able to close. However, what I wanted to now implement is a close callback. I want to have a callback that asks if you really want to close the window. So what I basically want to have is a private bool close window callback, which is getting the window pointer. Actually, this is should more be a reference than a pointer. Right. And the nice thing is, since I have this now using, the non-closable is changed very quickly. Like that. Done. Only thing that I need to change is how it's called, because window is a pointer here, which actually should also not be a pointer, but I already have my code wrapped around all the pointer stuff there, so do it like that. And if I now create an implementation, let's just do a message box xw on hvnd w window, convert it to window so that we have a parent. The text itself is gonna be some text, and the caption is gonna be the get title C string. MB yes no. MB icon question. And I'm gonna say still something missing. What is missing here? Oh, right, it's not an extended message box. Equals IDI yes. No, ID yes. IDI yes. What was the value of that? IDI. No, this is actually IDI is the. What is IDI again? Well, it's not the thing that I want. Is there documentation attached to that? Probably not. So we need to ask Microsoft for that. Learn.microsoft.com. Why? ID yes. So as long as we are not ID yes, we are gonna stop it. And what I basically want to ask is, do you really want to close the window? And if we have that in here, we just need to bind the callback. How do we bind the callback? Well, we need to add an argument, stdbind. So how did bind work again? Function types arguments. However, this should be pointer to app dot close window callback, and then it's gonna be this, and the second one is an std placeholder _1, and this should bind this. Now this is getting a bit out of hand, so let's maybe move this a bit down so it's a bit more readable. And this is the code that should in theory bind our callback in there. If I made everything right. Okay, of course it must return a value. So we got a warning as well. Okay, it's the same thing down here because we didn't use it. This should in theory bind these two together. So now I should get a message when I try to close window 1. Yeah, do you really want to close the window? No, it stays open. Yes, it closes. So this basically makes this non-closable versatile. We can now basically patch in our own logic. And this own logic could be a callback in an actual application itself. So an overlay on the UI that asks, hey, do you really want to quit the game or whatever? It could have a callback that saves your current progress and then closes everything, or saves the progress and asks you that. So there can be really logic attached to it. It can be every logic attached because we use std function. I didn't use a interface there, but that's okay. std function is kind of interesting. Actually, I'm really interested on how they are doing it. How does std function work? Do we really bother looking into that and trying to understand it? Probably not, because we can't understand it because they obfuscated everything. But we're gonna try anyways. Alright. My base. Get function implementation. Yeah, that's amazing. I really love it. I love how they are doing it so that you don't understand a bit. I was using swaps and stuff. I do actually care about the Boolean operator, because the Boolean operator is going to tell us the most thing about this std function, which is just calling the empty function. Okay. Namespace empty. Is that inside of that functional? No, it's executable. What is that? Oh my goodness. Rather like Control F for that here. So they really try you to not understand it. Okay, so we don't want to understand it then, right? What is that for an error here in between? Disappeared. The second way I looked at it. But that's a nice behavior that we at least got here. So now we are able to decorate our windows. So this means that we are having something done today. We got the integrating windowing with the we got that done. So I'm gonna say this is now done. And then I can like archive that, and when it is archived, where is it? I mean, it's away, right? But where do we have it? But where's my archive? Interesting. It's just a way. That's interesting. Where can I find archived stuff in that application? That's really interesting. Can I filter that here? Basically say that I want to have the archived ones? I guess they are gone forever. No, probably not, but... Because archive means to have it in an archive, so not delete. Because probably there's a delete, right? Or is there no delete? Okay, there's no delete. I might find this out in the future. If it is deleted, it's not a big issue. Alright, so what we now want to do is we want to do some DXGI comment stuff. Now, basically what we want to do is have a DXGI layer. Is that really what we want? Do we really want to have DXGI adopted as a layer? And no, rather singleton actually, because yeah, it's a Windows only thing, and yeah, probably a singleton. So we want to have this as a singleton. So instead of windowing, we want to have now have DXGI in here. DXGI is a Windows stuff. It is kind of DirectX, but kind of not. So we're gonna have DXGI in here. Let's actually rename this and make this caps DXGI. Let's also add another folder. A folder called util for Windows utils. We're gonna add a new item here, and we're gonna use our nice com pointer.h. Com pointer does have a implementation. I do love to use it, and I can find this. Can I find this? That com pointer. That one. That is my com pointer. Which instance is that? Which version? Can you see the versions here somewhere? Revisions. I'm just blind. They have also text the revisions. Yeah, we already have these ones in here. That's important. That one is also in here. That's also important. This was just a license, I think. Yeah, I know. Looks good. Let's copy this over. Okay. This should not be in a namespace. This should just be the com pointer. This is okay. I'm gonna quickly go over the class because I think I changed something again, but I didn't changed it on Git. I'm not quite very sure about that actually, but I think I implemented move. This is something that we want, so let's implement move here as well. Oh my god, they are all documented. I know. I don't like the style that I used back then, but yeah. No, it's not const. Com pointer, ct, other, which is basically the move sign. Non-accept, I know. So we can move these. So move. And how do we want to implement move? Really, that's something that we also don't want to have. We don't need to clear it because this is a constructor and we really don't want to clear here. We want to make this efficient, not trash. And also gonna convert this to my new style here. Okay, so what we basically want to do here is we just have to, I think we just have the pointer in here. Yeah, my pointer. Okay, so my pointer equals other my pointer, and other my pointer is null pointer. destructor. Also, this is a total pointless comments here. This is also pointless. You can see what's going on here. This is also pointless even though I added this. Destructor is pointless to do this. It's also pointless. Quite a long time ago that I've written this. Like, why should you name this a composer class? You might have the summary here for Visual Studio. Simple class that helps you. A templated class for Microsoft pointers. I like this one more than the VRL pointer. Microsoft has actually a templated version of that, but I don't like it. And what I'm basically going to type in here, CT is the I call it CT, com type. Com pointer type. Know what this is. Alright. And actually what we would even like to do is type name T, and we would really like to document the T. And then what I'm basically gonna do is std remove pointer. If you accidentally put a pointer on here, I just want to make sure that I remove it and that I have this in here nicely, which will then require to use type traits. This is gonna make it more better. So make sure that we remove that pointer here. Is actually clear pointer returning a? I mean, it's returning a. It is kinda returning a. Where is it? Clear pointer. But this is probably like. Ah, okay. I unknown. What is the function? It's called release, but it's probably a Microsoft type. It's a U-long. And if we use the Microsoft types, we want to make sure that we use them across our project as well, which is basically then defining this as a that. And we also don't want to inline stuff here. That's not really point in doing that. Set pointer and set pointer add ref. So more like set pointer and add ref. Really, those only that don't need a comment here. Release and unset. You can see what I'm doing here. Should then also be a U-long. Long. There we go. And what that we are doing this on your valid pointers. Also can also see this. Converting this to the pointer is also not a big deal. Auto conversion, this is like the worst thing that I've seen there. Address of operator, pointer operator. All can always see what they are doing. Okay, so compare pointer is also working. I see what's going on there. You can compare it with a direct pointer. You can compare it with a com pointer, which is basically just the same thing, that they were different. Assign operator works in different ways. So we are basically, we are assigning, we are clearing and setting. We also want to have move here, of course, but only for the com pointer types. Where we're basically going to set my pointer to other pointer and the other pointer to null pointer. But of course, we want to always, if we do that, we want a clear pointer to make sure that we release dangling references. I mean, like, assigning has worked previously because it's like automatically doing this and discarding it with destructing, but having a move is in there is gonna make it a bit more efficient. Actually, so I'm gonna call this like that. Clear pointer, get ref. And I wanna have a void clear pointer. Or do we really wanna optimize that far? No. Only if we need. So also this is now always called with end. So that one. That one. That one, that one, that one. Okay. Alright, what do we have here? We have query interface. Why are the assignment operators so way down? Don't like them to have them there. The current styles that I code. They should be there after the construction. Release. Also now, long get ref. Also, I do like my naming convention like Microsoft's. These comments, these are just really bad. Don't know why I have written them like that. Query interface. IID PPV arcs. That's a nice thing. We might want to actually store the error result, actually. We can actually say, like, H result. It's that. Return result equal to S, okay, and if error code equals result, something like that. It's caps them as well, not caps, but you get my point. Let's add dim as well here. And we should have a better comp pointer class now. Looking way more cleaner. New functions. And implemented these. Maybe I should add a version on top of that. Maybe I should also add the source where you got it from, even though you don't need to really attribute these. Yeah, let's go. Writing code. Version. Version is 7.10.2022, or let's just call it last change. Now let's copy them over. Actually, I can do a bit more type trait madness. STD enable AFT. SCD is base off. The base is I unknown. Did I write this correctly? I mean, no, I did not. It is not knowing this here because basically it's missing Windows. But you are responsible for including Windows before that comp pointer. I could include Windows here, but I don't know. That depends on, for the comment, it depends on what you're writing as the BA, bachelor degree, bachelorarbeit. And I don't think that I can do it even if I would like it. Pointer. So we're gonna have a CT pointer. No, CT needs to be based on I unknown. How does... I think. But I think this should work. We should test this before I upload this to GitHub. Can we test this quickly? Yeah, we can. DXGI. Make a quick new item. Dummy.cpp. Include. I'm gonna be ridiculous here. BTK engine, autoload, Windows SDK. And no, you know me, I do try to keep my things correct. Windows, util, comp pointer. Because we can later on just steal these includes. We need them anyways. Now... void lil, comp pointer of IDXGI adapter, CP. Builds it? Does it build in general? No. Succeeded. So it looks good. I'm confident enough that this works actually, so I'm just gonna push this quickly to gist here. Changes. Edit, 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 there. Now you can have the latest version as well. Yeah, I probably is gonna detect the change in every single line. But yeah. This should give us a way better experience for working with these classes. I mean, it has aged like the first version, if you would take a look at it. Can I actually see the whole first version? Probably not. Ah, yes, I can, because this was like a change. The first version was like really bad. We had like just from another comp pointer, get ref, get query. Oh, we already had query interface. I thought that I have added this later. But assignment was working for others. It was really not. It was not nice. So the latest version is the best, of course. Right, so let's steal these ones and let's create a proper header. DXGI instance. DXGI instance. Let's write this out completely. Let's add these includes in here. Namespace. Windows. Yeah, just in the root namespace. Class DXGI instance. This is gonna be a complete singleton. So default here. Let's just delete the default stuff out of that. I just like to do it Well, how I get it into this game engine development, basically just out of curiosity. I just started and thought, hey, that's really the thing that I wanna write. So really, I played a game, and the game didn't have an update for a very long time. So I thought, okay, maybe I can do a fan-based game on top of that. But I didn't like Unity, and I didn't like Unreal at all. I was not good at 3D modeling or actually creating the real game, and was more like interested in writing like all the technology behind it. So I really got into this game engine development stuff and thought, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do this. And yeah, that's really how I came into that. I read a few books on that topic and tried to implement some own code, watched videos, read more books, and yeah, that's how I basically got into that. I already did one live stream on that project, so basically, like, I don't know, a week ago we started talking about the code. I had a few bit of code prepared to basically check all my build systems and stuff, and implemented a few things that were a bit new for me, and I already also didn't have the time back then, so I already had some code pre-developed, but basically it's a project that starts from scratch. So if you want to catch up with what's already in there, like the whole layer stack and how the application starts and the build system, then you can watch the other live stream on the channel, but that's really the only thing that's like required there to watch. If you would want to see it as a requirement, actually. If you would want to see it at all as a requirement. That's always the thing. Is it really a requirement? Yeah, kinda. But not a hard requirement. Okay, so let's continue on here. Let's make this first. Let's finish the singleton up. XGI instance. As instance. I just like to call them as instance. I know that this is like not quite a good idea. The one particular book, I did read the book Game Engine, Game Engine Architecture. I read that book, and I think it's quite a good book to get like started into everything that you need to know how you need to do it. It's basically not like a tutorial how to write a game engine. It's basically just a book that shows you what subsystems you need and gives you a bit of cookies and goodies for all of the subsystems that you need to implement. It basically just pushes you in the right direction, which is good for a general overview. If you're more like looking for real like code examples, Unreal Engine source code, but I personally don't like Unreal Engine, so that's really not an option for me. And actually the code of them, it's at some point it's clean, and at some point you really take a look at this and say, oh my god, what's going on there? But that's how it is on all big software projects, I think. So, yeah. Like, if you are more into rendering, then there is the real-time rendering book, the kind of like holy bible for real-time rendering. It's, I think, just called real-time rendering, the book. It doesn't have a, like, name. Game Engine Architecture. That book is from, it's like that one here, from Jason Gregory. Or if you're in real-time rendering, then real-time rendering. It's just called real-time rendering. It's like this book here from multiple people here with the Star Wars Stormtrooper here at the cover that you can start with. You can see 3rd edition, and it's the 4th edition. I don't think, do we have a 5th edition yet? I don't know. If you're in general looking for, in general, books for all that game engine and rendering stuff, especially the rendering stuff, you can take a look at realtimerendering.com. This is actually the webpage from the guys that created that book here. And they basically have a whole like list of free books that you can read, like GPU gems that you can read for free, Shader X that you can read for free, DirectX Shader X, digital image synthesis. So this is basically a really good, especially for this rendering stuff, a really good book that helps you getting started. It suggests you books as well. For example, I think, where's the book that I also have read? I know, don't see it yet. However, this is more like on the rendering side than I mean, here is game engine development as well. There's like I cannot really say something about these books because I don't own them. Like there's this whole series foundation of game engine development, which has like 1, 2. I think it's a third one, mathematics, rendering, and yeah, something like that. If you're interested in patterns, this book is really amazing. If you're interested in patterns for engine and stuff. If you are interested in patterns in general, I can really highly recommend you the one book that everybody needs to read. What was it? Pattern book. Probably we're gonna find it by just... Yeah, okay, no, we get this Colorama Mama books. Software pattern book. That one. Design patterns. Element of reusable object-oriented software. This is actually... it's really something, if you ask people, they say this is the book that everybody needs to read. It's actually quite easy, and I think I read it in like 2 days. It's not really long. It's nicely written, it has graphics, it's not really like all compressed together, as much information compressed as less pages as possible. It's, yeah, bestseller #1 in object-oriented software design. I mean, this is a German page here, but yeah. Bestseller #1. That's also really highly recommended, this book. On your desk right now. Yeah, that's... yeah, I know, like, this is really the book that, like, I think everybody has, so... I really like that one. I really enjoyed reading it. And if you're needing a fast reference. If you want to fuck your mind, you can use the... Yeah, the pattern book is actually something that probably everybody has seen, yeah. There is one book, Algorithms book. If you want to get mindfucked, then that one. That is a mindfuck, that book. It's good, however, it really thrills down to the mathematics and all the math behind. Actually, like in math, there's something called, in German, it's called vollständige Induktion. I don't know how it's called in English. Probably I can just go to the English page here. Mathematical induction. And you can do the same thing with algorithms. And this book teaches that. And that's something, basically, when I've read the book, I'm like more the practical guy, not like the theory guy. I take a look at the book, open it up, and basically algorithm is like 2 pages. And then I like 100 pages just doing mathematical induction on that algorithm. So if you're onto that math stuff, this is really a good book. If you're not onto the math stuff, rather use the other ones. However, there are algorithms in here, like these more advanced trees and stuff like that. Self-balancing trees and stuff like that. If you really need to implement and understand them, it's probably the right way to buy this. But it's not quite cheap. So yeah. Let's go back to the code base here. So let me quickly catch up with the comments. Yeah, my Unreal Engine 5 stuff is like where probably the most people were coming from. I mean, people love Unreal Engine. I don't love it. I tried it out and I was really thrilled because C++, I like C++, and I initially also liked the way Unreal Engine does it. However, Unreal Engine has so many pitfalls when using C++ and so many, I would call them error in designs when using it with C++, that I kind of got to turn away of it. I'm probably going to return to that because it might be, since they have a new version out there, that it... and I might gonna go back to Unreal Engine in the future. Probably I'm 100% gonna check it out. Like maybe I do a follow-up video like Unreal Engine 1 year later, what has happened? Because this was like, was it in Christmas when I did the video? I think yeah. So maybe I do like after a year a comeback video and see how this approaches. Yeah. Yeah, algorithm classes are, what I have heard as well, quite heavy on the math. I personally, if I'm caring about the algorithm, I want to understand the algorithm, and I want to understand the algorithm, how it works, and how you can implement it, and what it does. I really don't care about all the theory, like this mathematical theory behind it. However, I have this luxury because I'm not studying software engineering, or in German it's called Informatik, IT, or everything like that. I'm not studying that. I'm studying electrical engineering, which also has nasty math in it, but it's a different math that I need to deal around with, not the math on algorithms. Yeah, it's like always depending on the teacher, I think. If you have a teacher that is doing it well, that is doing it nicely, has amazing documents that you can use as well, maybe a few visualizations or just a collection of links that you can take a look at this, and it's taught nicely, I think it's quite good. However, I think all of them have this book that I just showed you as a reference at some point. So yeah, but yeah, that's like the point. Alright, so what are we going to write here? Inline, DXGI, or static, inline, DXGI, instance, reference, get instance, just get instance. However, I just called them instance, but get instance is really the more the thing that we want to use. Return as instance. Just write in and accept. That's really the only thing that we need here. Let's create a file. And we're gonna do the okay, engine, Windows, DXGI instance as instance, just to have it dangling around somewhere. Now I don't need my dummy anymore. So we go in a backup here. And now we have like the singleton pattern fulfilled. And now what I personally like to do is, after this like all singleton stuff is sorted out, I like to just comment this down to singleton and just have it separated from the class itself. There's just some personal taste that I like to put onto the singleton class, or I recently like to put on my singleton classes, because if I could type this correctly. Because this looks a bit cleaner, right? You have this like all separated. This is like all infrastructure, and everything above here is doing its own thing. Alright, so what does my DXGI instance needs for functions? It first of all needs to hold a few instances. We need an IDXGI factory. I think the default one that we'd like to get. Why do we have the C functions there? What? Oh, interesting. At minimum 2, I think. What is the latest one doing? Get IDXGI factory. Factory. No, that's not what I want. I don't want the interface. I want to have the functions, but they are probably somewhere here as well. Create. It's not get, it's create. Okay. And it is taking what factory? IDX. Okay, so it's taking the IDXGI factory 1. That's important. So we start with 1 as well, and then we're gonna supply the castings ourselves. Or do we, what is the minimum functionality that we need? The minimum functionality that we need is, we actually, is there no more factory than 1? Okay. Yeah, there is, but in the other header. I'm an idiot. Create swap chain for HV and D. We at minimum need a factory 2. What does the factory 3 give us? Do we have a factory 3? Get creation flags. We really don't care about that one. Do we care about something in 4? enum adapter by local unique ID. That's something we really care for, because when we are later on trying to get our adapter, we could like emulate this with not the factory 4, however we can use it. I don't think that these factories are actually, it's a constraint on the, screw it, we're just gonna use a factory 7. Out of nowhere, factory 7. And we should be good actually, so MDXGI factory. We just use factory 7. I think this is also just an SDK standpoint. Normally, if you have the latest Windows version and latest drivers, they should be always... I mean, this is DXGI, so this is only Windows. And also, I think it's just a DirectX runtime. So if the factory, it sometimes has something to do with feature levels, I think, but I'm not quite sure of that. We're just going to take the latest one. Should be good. So the factory itself, this is required. We also need a few more other things. What do we have as well? We should have DXGI debug at some point. Info queue. We might need the info queue. Disable leap tripping enable is okay. We need debug, but only on debugging builds, of course. Or like not on shipping builds. So we might need to actually adapt our build system for a second. So let's take a look at our build system. ProEdge pre-make, and there is still Vengeance in here, the old name. Which we don't want to have in here. However, if we do it like that, we should have like the debug and release stuff in here. And what I do want to add is I want to have a GFX debug as well. So that we are on graphic debugging. And this should give us, if we reload all projects, the new macros. This is gonna screw us in a header that I haven't adapted yet. This is gonna screw us in exception.cpp, because this is still using the old one. ProEdge. Which is probably also somewhere in the includes. Oh, come on. There we go. So doing it like that shall give us everything that we need. And the stream is probably gonna come to an end soon, because I need to grab dinner. However, we're gonna do the debugging stuff. ProEdge. Can you please give me some autocomplete, please? GFX, come on, give me my debug. There it is. Ha! And I'm just gonna push this in here so it looks a bit better. And actually we probably want to have that one above here and then down in here. IDXGI debug 1. DXGI debug, and DXGI debug is of course not known because our bootstrap is not loading that. Or our auto load. The Windows SDK is not loading it. We want to include DXGI debug. As well, we also have D3D12. SDK layers is also our debug thing, I think. So then we load the debug headers as well. This should make this available. Alright, it is. Now, factory and debug are the first most important things. So the first one that we're going to have is a void function in it to initialize our DXGI interface, and the void shutdown. The shutdown is something that we might also want to call from the destructor just to be 100% safe. And we might have a boolean, or actually enum class DXGI status uninitialized, ready, and faulty. These are just going to be a few statuses that our DXGI can have, and I want to have this as a status. We're just going to have an inline get status, And get status is gonna return us the status. Of course, const no accept, even though we really never gonna have a non-const instance there. And the status is basically gonna reflect the status of our instance. Now what we're gonna do in our destructor, if our status is not equal to uninitialized, then we're gonna well, how did I call the method? Release? No, shutdown. Shutdown. Then we're gonna shut down. Right? To make sure that everything is closed correctly. And shutdown is just gonna be a matter of releasing the DirectX interfaces in order. So factory, DXGI factory, release, debug, release. However, the debugging stuff, of course, needs to be guarded. And we're gonna add some more code to that as well. We need to do debug checks and stuff like that. We're also going to have a function that will report live device objects, because if we do it with DXGI, it's going to be way cleaner and way more readable. So that's going to be a thing that we can do. Right, so this is how we do it here. Now the initializations, let's do them as well very quickly. Of course, I want to have them above my shutdown so that we get everything right. And on initialization, we first want to get the adapter, so the debug adapter. So let's do some... No, don't move these around. Don't move these around. Thank you. I don't know why Visual Studio likes to always put them on the left. I don't like it. Get DXGI or create DXGI factory 2. Oh, there's also a factory 2 here. I'm gonna use this in a second. And we need flags. I think these are unused actually. IID PPV args of an address to our DXGI. No. Debug, please. No, factory. The debug is gonna get there in a second. Get DXGI, get debug. Debug, get... what the hell. DXGI, come on, give me the function that I need. Okay, so we need our DXGI debug.h, which should have a DXGI get debug interface function. That one is the function I was looking for. And if we get this, we basically want to set this to debug. Of course, IID PPV args, the nice little Microsoft helper that extracts the pointer and the type that we have. And what we basically want to do is, if failed, want to return. What? Okay. And if failed, quickly return as well. We might want to do this with exceptions actually. But I think, do we support exceptions with WinAPI? I think so. We think we support them. So let's maybe go and let's maybe implement this correctly in throw. So we're gonna hashtag define something new. Hashtag define PDK check HR and throw. So expression and description is going to be the same. However, this is going to use Microsoft style. So if failed expression, we're going to throw. So basically just a Microsoft syntax here. And since my exceptions are quite interestingly implemented, this should work without an issue. If I include exceptions here, util, exception, exception, and also I think throw is looking a bit more interestingly, so like that. Now I have that macro no longer in my clipboard. And basically the idea is that you just need to do that. Yeah. So let's paste this in here. I'm gonna quickly need to check if the food is already ready, if I need to end the live stream. Okay, so we're gonna write this function to bring this function to an end, and then we're gonna end the live stream for today because food is already finished, and yeah, we already streamed 3 hours and a half, which I think is quite a long time, but yeah. Let's quickly add this, put this function to an end and finish it up so that we are ready for finishing the stream. I mean, I don't want to make the streams too long for also the videos so that people are still watching it. Alright, so failed. I like to do it instead. Failed. Okay. Alright, so shut down. This should all be good now. Now we just need to call it, and I'm gonna call it inside of my minimal app CPP. Just gonna quickly patch this in. I'm still used to the old name. XG instance, okay. So, on app init. The XG instance should not be available like that. It should be DK engine Windows, the XGI instance, get instance. Let's maybe do this quickly like that. Nah, you're just gonna call init on that directly. Now we just need to implement the other event. And the event is going to be named on app destroy. So like that. Then we're going to call the shutdown method here. And let me make a breakpoint here so that we can see if everything works. And then we should be connected with Windows. It's trying to rebuild many things because we changed the header. Alright, so DXGI of course needs to be linked. And we're gonna do this here. Links. DXGI.lib. DXGI debug. Debug.lib. I think this is enough actually. I'm not quite sure. Let's see. Okay, I cannot open the XGI debug.lib. So, how is that library called? Is it just a DLL? Might be. Not sure of that. Okay, no, it is in the library. Where is it? Do we have an overview here, which library we need? I always like that. Maybe it is actually... It might also be... I mean, we can... I think there is a way to directly go to that latest library. No, it's just headers. DXGI, debug, lib. Yeah, I already searched that on Google. No, I don't want to have this. Where can we steal that? We can steal that from a GitHub project of mine. Saw that one here. Alright, so what did I use here? DXGI, these ones. Not more? Looks like it. But I don't think that they are really in there. But they might be, because this might be a GeoID error. I haven't looked at this precisely. Unresolved symbol, yeah. This might be the GeoID. Okay, what were the warnings? That's interesting. Null import is... How are we triggering the null import? Just gonna search for the full error. I know that I had this issue already, but it's a long time ago. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this needs a bit more implementation. We're gonna do this in the next stream. Yeah, that's right. Do I have reference code where I used it? I think Modern GX. Maybe. Modern GX might have used the code that I can just steal quickly. Did we had debugging? Yeah, that's nicely organized so that I can't find it. That's always amazing. Foundations, nah. I have no idea where this is stored actually. Maybe in helpers. No. Util? Did they not implement it? They not implemented debugging. Or is it in that core one? Okay. Interesting. So DXGI debug needs to be found. Really, the idea that you would have there is... Let's see if we can do this fast. I mean, like, why is it defined there when it's not there? Do we have this? Let's try to cast this to a function pointer. So age result pointer, something like that. Add a my there, equal to get proc address of H module, find module, get module handle. EXGI debug.dll. The proc address that we want to have is the interface. It's probably not gonna. Is it a normal char? Can we not autocast this? Ah, damn it. Then we can like auto pointer this. Something like that. Let's quickly see if this works. If this doesn't work, I cannot help myself. We do gonna get some library issues that I need to finish. Nah, I did not found that proc. So I need to do a bit more research on that. I know that I had this code somewhere dangling around. But I need to find where. Alright, so thank you. That's the stream for today. Thank you for watching. We're gonna see us in the next video, which I'm gonna upload, and probably next Friday another stream. Maybe do another stream on a different time, or probably I'm gonna try to solve this issue, but might not stream this, gonna see. But basically it's just a way of finding these addresses. So thank you for your presence today, and see you. So have a nice evening as well, or whatever time it is.